Ladies and gentlegrams, in today's episode of the syrup-sipping snub Super Bowl sad boy, we see the Lil Louisiana animal who wasn't at the halftime show, the Dread Zeppelin, the Goblin Goon Gremlin, the Young Money veteran who packs punchlines as a profession, the man who Kendrick and the NFL left in a deep depression. My GOAT, Lil Tunechi, is absolutely cooked. I hate to admit it, alright? I absolutely hate every single time this man has done an interview in the last 6 months, because it reminds me that somehow he was a lot more mature, a lot more confident, and way more, I'm going to use the word stoic. I think that's the best way to describe the situation. He was way more stoic at the age of like 26 in 2006 when he was calling himself the best rapper alive. He's still calling himself the best rapper alive, but somehow every time Kendrick Lamar takes a stride, Lil Wayne's brain takes a nosedive. So drop a like and subscribe for these dope rhymes. Now, some context for anyone who's clueless out there. The 2025 Super Bowl halftime show took place in Lil Wayne's hometown of New Orleans. Lil Wayne is a massive football fan. He's got his own sports agency. He's been on ESPN and all those sports channels and shows a bunch of times, very involved. And he's even saying in this new interview that he just did, which we're going to break down, that the NFL was kind of planting these little thoughts in his head that he should be more present, he should be more out there, and he should really, let the world know that he wants that Super Bowl halftime show slot. And so he did, and for some reason he thought he had it in the bag, even though he would later admit that no one from the NFL actually ever contacted him specifically saying, hey, we're thinking of you as one of the candidates, but I digress. He signed La Brianna, the Marilyn Monroe V-Ho, to his record label Young Money. So when Kendrick Lamar and Drake got into that battle, and Kendrick Lamar ended up winning, and then, getting that Super Bowl halftime slot in Lil Wayne's hometown, on the heels of destroying his protege's career and reputation, many assumed that Lil Wayne wasn't just mad over the fact that they chose Kendrick Lamar over him for that Super Bowl halftime slot, but he was also probably mad at the fact that Kendrick, who has been a longtime collaborator and student of Wayne's work, would go so hard on someone who's part of that Lil Wayne family tree, right? Drake being from the same label, or not from the same label, from Lil Wayne's label. So Lil Wayne touches on how he felt about that whole rap battle, and you'll see here, he is absolutely clueless. Again, I don't know if this is rage bait. I don't know if he's just trying to pretend he's oblivious to the entire situation. This was his reaction after he got snubbed for that Super Bowl halftime show.
That hurt a lot. You know what I'm talking about? It hurt a whole lot. I blame myself for not being mentally prepared for a letdown, and for just automatically mentally putting myself in that position like somebody told me that was my position. It made me feel like not getting this opportunity. And when I felt like you guys reminded me that I ain't without y'all. And that's an amazing reality.
And this is also him in the summer singing Not Like Us as he's performing his collaboration with Drake called The Motto. So which side is he on, right? Is he on Kendrick's? Is he on Drake's? Logically, he would be on Drake's side, but then he's singing Not Like Us as he performs his Drake collaboration. He also got gifted an EXO chain from The Weeknd after Drake dissed The Weeknd, got in a full back and forth with him, rapped about how The Weeknd is always gifting different dudes chains. Now he's gifting one to Wayne. Kendrick also mentioned Lil Wayne on the intro to his GNX album, Whacked Out Murals, and Lil Wayne kind of responded to this on Twitter, which led to a very small back and forth. We're going to touch on that later in the video because Lil Wayne makes mention of it in this brand new interview that he did. So let's break down this entire thing. You're going to see Wayne is not cooking in this interview. He is absolutely cooked. And again, it very much pains me to say this, but I got to keep it real, right? Like, the first album I ever bought in my life was Lil Wayne's The Carter 2. I watched that man's entire prime when I was just a young kid between like 2005 to 2011. Like, I was a hip-hop fan before Wayne, but Wayne showed me how far you could take the genre, not just from, a success perspective, but pushing the boundaries vocally with the type of projects you're releasing, going on this mixtape spree where he's killing everybody's beat, sounding like an alien and delivering these punchlines that only an alien could think of. Plus his whole aesthetic, like I remember this DJ Khaled song, I'm So Hood remix. He had everybody on this song, from Ludacris to T-Pain to Big Boy, Busta Rhymes, Fat Joe, Young Jeezy. I'm forgetting like 10 names, but you had Lil Wayne on this song, and he just stood out to everybody, not because his verse from a technical perspective was more lyrically impressive, but just his entire aesthetic, the whole whole rock star alien persona that he gave off. Witnessing this run as a kid, this feature run, the mixtape run, the #1 hit single run that he had, and then the influence that he would have on the next generation, the Young Thugs, the Futures, even the Kendricks, the Drakes, the Tyler, the Creators. Like, my dream, the farthest I think I can take the Rapaholics channel, is to one day have the honor of sitting down with Wayne in his studio, the one that he created, like, all these classic albums, the Carter 2, the Carter 3, I believe it was the Hit Factory in Miami, and specifically going through, like, some of his most iconic songs, the recording process behind them, seeing how he actually records and documenting the entire thing, and putting together some sort of real documentary on this guy. Because, I mean, as a musician, he's phenomenal, but I say all this to say that to see the direction he's headed, it's very concerning, to say the least, right? Like, I can't tell if this guy is seriously suffering from memory loss, if he's suffering from some sort of cognitive decline, if he genuinely just does not pay any attention to anything that's going on outside of his own life. And then on a less dramatic side, I mean, just seeing him act so surrendered and defeated over something like not getting the Super Bowl halftime show when he hasn't put an album out in 5 years, he hasn't had a top 10 hit in over 7 years. Like, it's just a little bit ridiculous. But, you know, fingers crossed this is all just one big troll. And he does have a new album on the way, the Carter 6. So I think that'll be fire. And we get some new updates on that album in this new interview, along with a lot of other insane comments. So let's go through the entire thing front to back. It starts off the way most Lil Wayne interviews have started off, with the interviewer waiting hours and hours after the scheduled time because Wayne is running late. I could give you guys 2 examples in my own life of this happening. The first time I ever thought I'd see Lil Wayne was at a club in Miami. I had paid because they were promoting it as like this mini Lil Wayne concert at a club. His DJ has a whole set, you know, he's hyping up the entire crowd, making it seem like, you know, Wayne is really coming out, right? Like, edging the entire crowd here. It takes Wayne 4 hours from that DJ set to actually arrive at the club. He gets there at around 4 a.m., hits a couple blunts, dances to the Young Thug and Gunna song Hot, and then leaves. Does not perform a single song. The next time I saw him was at a festival in Canada where there's a curfew at the venue of 11 o'clock, meaning like it was a festival. The entire festival was done at 11 o'clock. No one could perform. The stage lights were off. Like, that was it. Game over. Canada is whack. Don't let me get started on that. Mind you, I buy a 3-day pass for this stupid festival just to see Lil Wayne. His set was supposed to start at 10 o'clock. He gets on at 10:45, performs a 13-minute set because the venue has a curfew of 11 p.m. Great 13-minute performance, but anyways, yeah, it looks like this interviewer was suffering from the same exact thing as I was. He says, it's 5 a.m. in Georgia and Tree Sound Studios is quiet. That's the studio that he's about to interview Lil Wayne at. I'm in a side room of the vast Oki complex near Atlanta, preparing to be the first person outside of Lil Wayne's circle to hear the Carter 6, the album he's been working on for 6 years. On this mid-January night, our listening session was supposed to begin at 1 a.m., but it took 2 hours for Lil Wayne to show up. Wayne's manager, Fabian, an affable, stout Queens native wearing all black, told me that the hip-hop icon is doing some last-minute edits to songs before I hear them. It's been a long minute. I ogle the labyrinthine recording console in the room. I wouldn't know the first knob to push, but I have mastered the Keurig machine. I need caffeine, because again, it's 5 a.m., right? So he's making some jokes here. Most of my time in Wayne's orbit, chasing him across the map, has been an exercise in indeterminate waiting. I've already taken 2 trips to Los Angeles for interviews that didn't happen, the latter missed connection due to calamitous wildfires. Last night, Wayne headlined a concert at Atlanta State Farm Arena. I got an onstage glimpse of his set, but we didn't talk. Our cross-country game of cat and mouse will continue after tonight, resulting in missed interviews, late nights that turn into early mornings, and a postponed Rolling Stones cover. Because this guy that's interviewing works for the Rolling Stone, right? And they were trying to put Wayne on the cover, but basically because every single time that this guy tried to actually meet Lil Wayne to do the interview for the magazine, he kept delaying it, or he kept basically telling the guy to F off. He kept the guy waiting till 5 in the morning. The guy would leave, which means that the cover they were supposed to do for the Rolling Stones kept getting delayed. But back at Tree Sound Studios, I finally get the nod that Lil Wayne is ready for me. Fabian, his manager, escorts me into Wayne's room, and I'm smacked with a weed stench as I cross into his musky territory. He stands near the door in a baggy, all Balenciaga gear, with a black band around his neck, not unlike the soldier rag he and the Hot Boys popularized nearly 30 years ago. A gleaming platinum Cuban chain sits atop his shirt. Now, on a side note, I'm probably reaching here into conspiracy land, but I find it's very disturbing. Balenciaga back in 2022 had a very weird campaign revolving children children and S abuse. I'm not going to go too far deep into it. You guys can look up the Balenciaga children scandal back in 2022. You'll see what I'm talking about. But literally since around that time, almost every time Lil Wayne is out in public, he's wearing a Balenciaga outfit. We know that Lil Wayne was a child star from a very early age, right? And we also saw some disturbing clips of him saying that, Birdman forced him to do some uncomfortable things when he was 11 years old with this older woman. And he was trying to get his artist at the time, 15-year-old Lil Twist, into some sort of similar situation. There's videos on all this stuff. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I'm just saying that Balenciaga at one point in time had become kind of synonymous with child S abuse. I don't know if this was intentional, but you could see, Kanye's conspiracies on this stuff. Like, this is just a conspiracy I'm talking about here, but I'm just saying, ever since this campaign, Lil Wayne has always been out in public in Balenciaga clothing. I don't know if that's a coincidence. I don't know if this is one big, large conspiracy. You guys can research that and let me know in the comments. We'll continue with the article. In the back of the room are Lil Wayne's 15-year-old son, Cameron, in a pink Bape hoodie, and his personal photographer, Philip Lopez. Across the room is a tatted up Lil Twist, who's been signed to Lil Wayne's Young Money Entertainment since he was 17 years old. He looks nothing like the baby-faced mohawked rapper that was first seen when the label began assaulting the Billboard charts in the late aughts. Wayne daps me, then mumbles something like, "You here to listen to the stuff?" while picking a track for his engineer to play. Admittedly, I'm too busy processing the gravity of the moment to remember the specifics of the first song that I hear. I do recall an up-tempo beat, over which Wayne spits furiously at his free associative best. He nods his head feverishly to the track. So just to give you guys like a little recap of what we're going to go into here, the interviewer and Wayne touch on a bunch of different things. They start by reviewing some new music for the Carter 6. So if you're a big Wayne fan like me, this interview gives us an interesting perspective into what we can expect from the album. But then he also goes into some, I would say, current events in hip-hop, but also some events that date back to like 2011, which he completely doesn't remember. Everything from Kanye West and Jay-Z's run back in the early 2010s to Kendrick and Drake's beef last year. So let's jump into the rest of this. After the first song he previews is over, he approaches and looks me in the eye and says, "If you got a favorite rapper, tell him, suck my D," Wayne says. His manager laughs. Now I'm fully awake. At 42 years old and 30 years into his career, Lil Wayne is still driven by the goal to be the best rapper alive. Born Dwayne Michael Carter Jr. in the Holly Grove section of New Orleans, he was signed around the age of 11 after calling the Cash Money Records office every single day, rapping into their voicemail until Brian Birdman Williams and his brother, Slim, gave Wayne a chance. Decades later, after helping Cash Money become a southern rap giant as 1/4 of the Hot Boys, then becoming the label's flagship solo artist, then helming the Young Money movement, Wayne still makes music every single day. And props to Wayne for doing that, man. Like, every time we hear of him, as much as I'd like to not hear from him if he's going to be crying about the Super Bowl, I do love the fact that my GOAT is still in the studio 30 years into his career every single night. So they continue. When I asked the last time Lil Wayne went on vacation, he says, matter-of-factly, that vacations are recording. Okay, sure, but how about an actual chill vacation? Wayne says, I never understood that. What are we taking a break from? If it's a vacation, you're supposed to do things that you enjoy, right? So I take my music with me. And in turn, music has taken Wayne to heights few rappers can ever compare to. He has 187 entries on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, and in 2024, his feature on Tyler, the Creator, Sticky, extended his streak at having 22 consecutive years with at least one song charting on the Billboard Hot 100. Put it like this, one song from Lil Wayne has hit the charts every single year for the last 22 years. Wyclef Jean, a key collaborator on the Carter 6, thinks Wayne will be seen as an icon centuries from now. You gotta think like how people study Bach and Shakespeare, he explains over Zoom from Paris. Wayne's gonna be regarded as one of the greatest Renaissance wordsmith composers of our generation. Wayne's disregard for norms helped him reshape the contours of hip-hop. His dreadlocks, body enveloping tattoos, and colorful clothing made him a fashion maverick, serving as the mood board for hordes of young MCs to follow. He held it down for lyricists during the aughts onslaught of ringtone rap and snap dancing, and did so with a relentless output that redefined what quote-unquote prolific meant in hip-hop. Moody crooning deep cuts like Me and My Drink engendered entire wings of nihilistic, melodic hip-hop that followed them. He's tried his hand at practically every style and theme, even dropping Rebirth, his 2010 rock album. Wayne's history is still being written. Recently, he's fed fans via collaborations with everyone from Doja Cat to Lil Baby to Nas to Jack Harlow. In 2023, he dropped Welcome to Collie Grove with 2 Chainz and the mixtape The Fix Before the 6. And it feels like these days, Wayne is more focused on bar work and experimentation rather than chart chasing. Beyond his artistry, Wayne's no-ego approach as an executive paved the way for Young Money signees like Drake and Nicki Minaj to become icons and set up artists like Tyga for sustained success. His latest entrepreneurial endeavor is co-running his Young Money APAA sports agency, representing more than 100 athletes, including the Heisman Trophy winning Travis Hunter, set to be a top pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Like Jay-Z and 50 Cent, Wayne is a rapper entrepreneur, but he doesn't always get the credit for wearing multiple hats. He says he doesn't mind, mostly because he's still focused on the rapper part and uses a basketball metaphor to explain. Imagine you're a player coach still averaging 30 points a night and someone's asking, hey, do you feel slighted that they don't put you in the coach type of conversations? He says, no, I'm still here dropping 30 points a night. I'm fine being the best rapper. And then you just found out, oh, he owns Young Money? Oh, he put Drake out? Oh my gosh. The first curveball in my reporting occurs somewhere over the Rockies on a flight from New York to Los Angeles to interview Wayne back in December. I'm told that Wayne has an emergency and needs to cancel. I'm assured that his health is fine, he just can't do the interview. I fly back to New York the next day. Then in early January, I return to LA just in time to witness the catastrophic wildfires spreading across the city. I hear a loud, urgent buzz from Wayne's manager's phone, and I think it's another wildfire advisory. In fact, it's his ringtone for a Lil Wayne phone call. His manager answers in speaker mode while walking out of the room. Before he leaves, I overhear Wayne exclaim, "I'm not doing that stuff tonight. You see what's going on?" Wayne, I learned later, had to evacuate his Hidden Hills home, which was undamaged except for temporary power loss. His manager returns to the room about 10 minutes later and informs me tonight isn't happening. Last month, I got the cancellation alert in the air. At least this time, I hear Wayne's voice. So basically, like, this guy went to New York, then he went to LA to try to interview Wayne. Both time Wayne cancels. At least on the second time, he heard Wayne himself canceling through his manager's phone call. 11 days later at Atlanta's State Farm Arena, the crowd is ready for the main event, a Lil Wayne concert just before the college football playoff championship game. There's just one problem. Lil Wayne isn't there yet. It's 11 p.m., an hour after Wayne's set was supposed to start, and a dozen or so people, mostly members of Wayne's team, wait backstage. So this is the exact same thing that happened to me when I was supposed to see Wayne, right? He just came on ridiculously late compared to when his showtime was supposed to start. So the guy continues. One balding arena worker quips to his coworkers in a Georgia twang saying, "You think I could grow some hair by the time this guy gets here?" 30 minutes later, things abruptly go from 0 to 60 as 3 Atlanta cops dash outside to meet Wayne's Sprinter van. There's 2 people in Wayne's crew wearing Free Lil Durk t-shirts in the dressing room. Later, when I asked Wayne about them, he tells me he didn't even know the Chicago rapper was in jail. Mind you, Lil Durk at this point has been incarcerated for basically 6 months. Wayne has no clue. And he also has 2 sons that are 15 and 16 years old that are rappers. You would think at least they would inform him if Wayne can't find that information out himself. Atlanta Hawk greats Trae Young and Dominique Wilkins are probably the only other people who could get away with walking through the arena's metal detector toking a blunt. Neither would. The detector goes off as Wayne passes through, but no one cares. There's relief and excitement as the previously scattered parts of Wayne's ecosystem huddle together and form a wall around him, security in front. And it's interesting because I think way back in like 2007, when Wayne got arrested in New York, which led him to spend 8 months in Rikers Island jail, it was a firearms charge, but I believe what prompted cops to go and search his tour bus was the fact that he had a concert and went through a metal detector reeking of weed. It seems like almost 20 years later he's doing the exact same thing, but at this point, they don't give him any problems about it. The interviewer continues saying, "I've come to realize that time simply isn't a factor in Wayne's world." Philip Lopez, the photographer, tells me that their private jet to Atlanta was scheduled to leave LA at 1 a.m. They sat on board, waiting until Wayne showed up at 6, 5 hours later. But no one I speak to recalls Wayne's unpunctuality or late hours resentfully. They simply chalk it up as a feature, not a defect, of being around a nonconformist. Wyclef Jean theorizes that he and Lil Wayne are night owls because of their shared astrological signs, saying most Libras are nocturnal. In the 90s, Birdman would take the Hot Boys to the studio to record overnight, and the routine stuck. Wayne's average day ends shortly after leaving the studio and getting breakfast while watching morning sports shows like First Take. He sleeps, then wakes up to dinner around 6 p.m. Later, I tell him that his schedule is the inverse of the average human's, and he says, "I never thought of it like that. Thank you." Wayne apparently got enough sleep to rock State Farm Arena with a career-spanning set. When I try to enter a backstage room where Wayne is taking pictures with fans, his security guard blocks me with his elbow. I tell him I'm with Rolling Stone. He dismissively scoffs, "Nah," as if I just asked him for $20 instead of seeking to do my job. After the brief photo session, everyone exits the arena and jumps into a police-led cavalcade of sprinters and SUVs. The next night at Tree Sound Studios, Wayne mostly lets the album speak for itself, hovering near his engineer and pointing out which song to play next. Sometimes he offers a tidbit about guest appearances by Elephant Man or MGK, or producers like Kanye, who produce one track that may or may not make the album, and the producer Weezy, and then he walks out to the far corner of the room and jams out in his own world. He two-steps to some songs and feverishly nods his head to others. I hear a track where Wayne definitely mimics the cadence of Biggie's One More Chance and Tupac's Hit 'Em Up. That's interesting, so we're going to get a flip of Tupac's diss track Hit 'Em Up on the Carter 6. Another track is an ode to cruising through LA. That kind of sounds similar to Kendrick's bar on TV off where he said walk in New Orleans with the etiquette of LA. Maybe a callback to that, and that song also features a shout out to the late Matthew Perry. Wayne laughingly tells me afterwards that he didn't know Perry and only added him after researching a name that would fit with the syllable space. Basically, he had no clue who Matthew Perry was and just name dropped him because it rhymed in the bar. The Carter 6, which is due on June 6th, is a testament to Wayne's malleable mic presence. He rhymes over different tempos and moods, but always sounds like himself. Wayne divulges that he's still cool with Birdman, the surrogate father who spearheaded his career until a 2014 contract dispute led Lil Wayne to sue Birdman's Cash Money Records for $51 million. He accused the label of withholding money owed to him and delaying the release of the Carter 5, which he had already turned in to the label. In 2018, Wayne settled for a sum of reportedly more than $10 million. Since then, however, the pair have patched things up. Wayne says, Birdman is still my pops, talk to him every day. Wayne says Birdman often calls him to ask for sports betting advice. He thinks that time mended their relationship. Wayne says, also, Birdman being happy for my success. He gave me the ball years ago and told me, go ahead, now show me the end zone. One big Billboard hit I hear is the song These Are the Days featuring Wayne's son Cameron and Bono. The U2 vocalist sings about quote-unquote counting the days, while Wayne raps about being in a hospital bed after one of the numerous epileptic seizures he had since childhood. As for his health, Wayne tells me he feels amazing these days. On These Are the Days, Cameron, Wayne's son, has a shrill, prepubescent voice. Wayne says the song is from 2013 or 2014. And it's interesting because this is what he did on the Carter 5 too, right? He featured his daughter. And that album also, while it came out in 2018, it featured a bunch of songs from like 2011 to 2014. As for his sons becoming rappers, Wayne says, it's innate. It's not surprising at all. I'm a true musician, so it'd be shocking to me if they came up and said they wanted to do pottery. He says he enjoys seeing them, quote unquote, from the start of their craft. It reminds him of his own early years. Wayne says, it's impossible for you to not compare. I'll say, this what the F I was looking like when I would come in and people would be like, what you just said? In 2006, Wayne and Birdman did a tandem album called Like Father, Like Son, and Wayne says he's open to a sequel with his sons. On a 2015 track, Wayne said his lifestyle was skate, smoke, rap, and sleep with women. While that is still the case to an extent, fatherhood takes precedence. Wayne says now it's make sure you watch over these kids and make sure you're there at these vital ages. That's coming first now, he affirms. Making sure these guys ain't going to jail. Making sure nobody's playing with my princess. That would be 26-year-old daughter, Reginae, an actress and social media influencer. And on a side note, while it's sad to see Wayne so detached from, what's going on in hip-hop today, while still making comments antagonizing, the greatest rapper of this generation, Kendrick Lamar, it is great to see that his detachment likely stems from the fact that he's more focused on fatherhood rather than, like Drake put it, being, integrated in that rapper life. Now, back to the Carter 6. Wayne says he's focused on collaborations on the Carter 6. If there's one thing about this album that's different, it's me approaching it like, man, what would I sound like on something with such and such? Billie Eilish and Miley Cyrus make appearances, but the most unexpected guest I hear is Italian opera star Andrea Bocelli, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that name, who sings Ave Maria on another track. Wyclef Jean flew to Italy to ask Bocelli's permission to sample the song and ended up telling Bocelli the story of Wayne surviving a self-inflicted firearm wound at 12. The tenor was so moved that he decided to sing the opera standard himself. It's one of them records that I feel is going to stop time, Wyclef Jean says. So as of right now, from this interview, we have a strange list of features for this album, right? Anyone from Billie Eilish to Miley Cyrus to the opera singer who sings Ave Maria. It sounds like Wyclef Jean has a hand in somewhat executive producing the album. Kanye is an actual producer of one of the beats, as well as the producer Weezy. MGK is a feature, Elephant Man is a feature. What the hell could this album sound like, right? Wyclef and Wayne recorded around 30 songs for the Carter 6. Leaving Wyclef Jean and Lil Wayne in the studio for 24 hours is a dangerous thing, Wyclef Jean warns. You don't know what's going to pop out. Wayne adds, "You're going to probably do like 8 songs with Wyclef because he's going to keep flipping what you did on one song and make a whole new song out of that stuff." The collaboration extended beyond the studio. Wyclef and Wayne created an informal group called the Gumbo that the Fuji likens to Gnarls Barkley, New Orleans musicians John Batiste, Ladici, Trombone Shorty, and PJ Morton are members as well. Wyclef and Wayne also riffed on guitar during the sessions. Wayne has been playing for nearly 2 decades. He doesn't know music theory, but plays by feel and often adds a solo to his features, as on Jello's recent Tweaker remix. While showing me one of too many guitars at Tree Sound, he points out a left-handed Jimi Hendrix model. Hendrix is his favorite guitarist. If you watch footage of that guy play, if they don't show the guitar, you'll never know he's playing a guitar. He's so calm. He looks like Jaden Daniels or something, Wayne says, referencing the Washington Commanders rookie sensation. After one Carter 6 song, Wayne tells the room they could have had some music mimicking guitar playing, but instead they got rapping. He's talking about the NFL. They effed up, he says, after another song. So it's crazy, right? Like, he's so harped on this Super Bowl performance that he was never invited to perform at to begin with, but talks with this entitlement as if, the music he's cooking up on the Carter 6 would have been way better to be performed on the Super Bowl stage, right? He's saying they could have had some real music, but instead they got rapping. And obviously he's referencing the fact that, Kendrick's set was filled with bar-heavy songs, right? You had Euphoria, DNA, Peekaboo, Man at the Garden. Like, these were not the hits, obviously. Kendrick took a very unconventional approach, but I think that's why it was the most watched Super Bowl halftime show of all time. It's why we're still talking about it months later, right? Because it was an anomaly. Kendrick was telling a story within that performance that fans could later go on and actually dissect. There's actual depth to it. It wasn't just the hits. And I mean, as far as Wayne, saying this, what is he going to do? Go up on that stage and perform Lollipop with a guitar solo? Like, have you seen Lil Wayne pick up a guitar? He's nowhere close to his idol Jimi Hendrix, so I'll tell you that much. Again, this is my GOAT, but like, what's with the shade, right? Like, he's playing his new album to this random interviewer and he's talking about the NFL effed up. They could have had real music. Instead, they got rapping, like, downplaying the quality of what Kendrick actually brought to that stage. And he continues about the Super Bowl. So basically, the interviewer continues, in 2023, Wayne told Rolling Stone he'd love to play this year's Super Bowl halftime show since it was happening at New Orleans Superdome, his hometown stadium. But last September, the NFL announced Kendrick Lamar was getting the nod, and Wayne released a video revealing that not being selected broke him. Onlookers wondered whether NFL brass had told Wayne something to make him feel like he was poised to be the choice. Wayne says the league encouraged him to be more public-facing in preparation for the show, making him feel like the selection was inevitable. He said, "To perform, it's a bunch of things they're going to tell you to do and not to do, butts to kiss and not to kiss," he explains. Adding, "If you notice, I was a part of things I've never been a part of, like Michael Rubin's all-white parties. I'm doing stuff with Tom Brady. That was all to get that Super Bowl halftime show. You ain't never seen me in them type of venues. I'm not Drake. I'm not out there smiling like that everywhere. I'm in the studio, smoking and recording." So again, right, like his connects or his friends over at the NFL told him to, make more public appearances, right? Go to these big parties, attach yourself to these big figures, and then maybe you'll have a shot at actually getting that performance. So that's what he did. And he's saying, like, he's not like Drake where he pops out everywhere, right? He's usually in the studio, but he made the effort because he thought that would land him that Super Bowl slot. He says that after the Kendrick announcement, someone at the NFL apologized and told him, "We're not in charge of the Super Bowl halftime show." Wayne says, all of a sudden, according to the NFL, they got curved. So I'm going to have to just settle with whatever they say, he resolves. Jay-Z, who Wayne calls a close friend, runs Rock Nation, which oversees the halftime show. Last year, halftime show producer Jesse Collins said Jay-Z had chosen the Super Bowl act since 2019. Wayne says he's cool with Jay-Z, lauding him as someone with a wealth of advice who's just a text away. Neither the NFL nor Jay-Z responded to a request for comment for this Rolling Stone story. Wayne tells the interviewer at Rolling Stone that things are fine between him and Kendrick. Wayne called the LA rapper ahead of the Super Bowl to clear the air and to encourage him. Earlier on last year's GNX album, Kendrick had rhymed, "Irony, I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down." A day later, Wayne made a Twitter post warning, "I just be chilling and they still come for my head. Let's not take kindness for weakness. Let this giant sleep." Those lines spurred speculation that Wayne was set to insert himself into Drake's beef against Kendrick following the Super Bowl snub. And you guys probably remember this, right? The day after GNX was released, Wayne sent out that tweet where he said, "Don't wake the giant up. Like, I'm just chilling. They're still coming for my head." So many people thought he was referring to the bars that Kendrick rapped on Whacked Out Murals where he said, used to bump the Carter 3, I wore my rolly chain proud. The irony, I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down. Well, he said it more gritty, like, irony, I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down. Yeah, I'm still working on my Kendrick impression, but basically, again, people thought that tweet was Wayne trying to step in to be like, don't test me, Kendrick, because I will destroy you. I am not Drake. But Wayne would then go on to say that he never even heard the Whacked Out Murals song, and Skip Bayless read the lyrics to him in an interview, and Wayne looked like literally like he's never heard these lyrics in his life, right? So where did this tweet stem from? Was it someone from his team that just told him like, hey, Kendrick is kind of talking crazy about you on this album, and Wayne just took to Twitter right away? Or, what prompted this entire thing, right? Well, I would say we get some clarity here, but if anything, this confuses things even more. So the interviewer goes on to say, Wayne seems to not quite remember the Twitter post he wrote when I bring it up. Wayne says, I sound like I'm talking about the media because I said they. He says. In fact, Wayne says that he didn't pay attention to Kendrick and Drake's war of words. Wayne says, I'm going to give you the perfect example. I went on stage and I was singing this song, and they thought I was dissing. The song was Not Like Us, Kendrick's smash hit with DJ Mustard. Wayne burrows his face into the arm of an accent chair while laughing about unknowingly rapping along to a Drake diss track. Wayne says, I ain't want my dude to be mad at me. I didn't even know it was Kendrick. So basically that clip I played you guys earlier where Wayne is, rapping on the beat of the song The Motto, his song with Drake, he says, they not like us, they not like us. People thought that this was him showing allegiance to Drake because he's wearing an OVO chain. Wayne says here he literally didn't even know that song was by Kendrick, and he was just rapping it during that performance because he liked the song. Like, this is really how detached Wayne is from hip-hop and everything that goes on in general, right? But he says he was at Michael Rubin's white party. Drake was there as well. That was like a month after this beef happened, right? Are they, not on speaking enough terms where Drake is recapping to him everything that's going on? Like, how is it that the biggest beef in hip-hop took place with one of Drake's proteges, and Wayne was so clueless to it to the point where he's literally rapping the song on stage, not knowing it's a Drake diss track, not knowing it was recorded by Kendrick Lamar, just rapping it because he thought it was a good song. Absolute insanity, but they continue. For most of the rap world, the Drake-Kendrick beef was hot button news. It didn't make a blip for Lil Wayne. While pointing to a nearby TV playing ESPN, Wayne declares, if it don't happen on this channel or FS1, I wouldn't know that happened. Crazy that you could be that detached from it, right? Like, I remember when Drake released Back to Back, his diss against Meek Mill, Wayne actually recorded a freestyle to that song. Like, did he have no idea that Drake was dissing Meek Mill at that time? Wayne has been dissed countless times by Pusha T. The only time he ever responded was he gave him one bar on one song saying, F Pusha T, anybody that love him, his head up his butt, I'ma have to headbutt him. It makes you wonder, like, is Wayne really that clueless? Or is this simply, rage bait to confuse the audience and allow Wayne to, not really pick a side in any of these issues? And you'll see later, he talks about how him and Kendrick actually spoke. But before then, they continue on about different topics, saying, in between my questions, the conversation meanders freely amongst the room. Wayne's a natural comedian bouncing all over. He talks skating with Lopez, then gives his take on the latest Saw movie, opening, the new one is good. That guy Jigsaw is still living. When is the cancer going to kill that guy? He loves watching the Discovery and History channels, and the self-described Martian stays abreast of news on extraterrestrials from the Pentagon and the White House. Wayne says, they like to release stuff right in the middle of something popping. He theorizes, joking that Taylor Swift could drop an album and NASA finally releases like, yo, we just murked 3 aliens. As a workaholic, Wayne misses a lot. Cameron spearheads a primer for Wayne on Mr. Beast. Wayne doubles over laughing when he learns that one of the YouTuber's first viral videos was him counting to 100,000. Later in the evening, I reference Jay-Z and Kanye West's Watch the Throne. Wayne says, what's that? As he stares into the SportsCenter replay. The interviewer replies saying, Kanye and Jay-Z's album. Wayne says, they did an album? The rest of the room spends the next 5 minutes playing songs from the iconic 2011 album to jog Wayne's memory. He looks bewildered trying to decipher the opening moments of Otis, asking Twist if he ever freestyled to it. Twist shakes his head saying no, though he does recall the songs Paris and No Church in the Wild. And this part's the craziest to me, the absolute craziest, because I was following Wayne very, very closely throughout this time. So let me give you guys a couple interesting tidbits on this entire situation, right? At this point in time, it's 2011. Wayne is on top of the game, and he just ushered in his latest protege, Drake, who is also dominating the game with hit after hit. They're collaborating so much that they actually announced that they're about to put out a collab project together, Drake and Wayne. At the same time, Kanye and Jay-Z then announced that they're about to drop their collab album, Watch the Throne. Kanye, years later, would state that him and Jay-Z would have never made Watch the Throne if Drake and Wayne weren't putting that insane type of pressure on them to remain at the top of the game. And the spiraling Sexy Red stunt double would make sassy comments in interviews around that time stating that, I hear these other two guys are coming out with an album. I wonder, where they got that idea from. Me and Wayne still have to do ours, but, now we got two other giants in the hip-hop game about to release an album. And I wonder where they got that idea. Drake even rapped on the Lil Wayne, DJ Khaled, and Rick Ross song I'm On One saying, I still feel like the throne is for the taking, watch me take it. There were plenty of subliminals back and forth throughout that Watch the Throne era. And not just from Drake, from Lil Wayne himself as well. The first single off of Watch the Throne, Ham, featured a sneak diss from Jay-Z at Birdman when he rapped, I'm like, really, half a billy? Really? You got baby money. Keep it real with guys. These guys ain't got my ladies' money. Basically saying, because Birdman was like, Wayne is richer than Jay-Z, he's a better rapper. Jay-Z was saying, you have half a billy, that's not even as much as Beyonce has, my wife. I have a whole documentary on, the subliminal war between Jay-Z, Drake, and Lil Wayne, and it really revolves around this particular period of time. And Wayne was very aware of this. Kanye played him that Ham song in the studio. One of his Young Money artists, Jay Mills, said that when Wayne heard that verse, when he heard that sneak diss from Jay-Z, he ran out of the booth and then decided to record a sneak diss of his own and asked, all the people in the studio, is this too much to release? That's when we got the song It's Good, when Wayne flipped that Jay-Z bar and rapped, talking about baby money, I got your baby money, kidnap your girl, get that how much you love your lady money. So before they even released the first single to Watch the Throne, Wayne got an exclusive premiere of that song and then flipped it to sneak diss Jay-Z on his own record. Kanye has gone on to say that Jay-Z and him would have never made Watch the Throne without Drake and Wayne. Wayne released the Carter 4 only 2 weeks after Jay-Z and Kanye West released Watch the Throne. They were both at the VMAs that year, both performing at the VMAs. Wayne watched in the crowd Jay-Z and Kanye West perform the song Otis, and now he's pretending like he's never heard it before. And then a year later, at a Grammys after party, Wayne took the stage and spit a freestyle where he said, I met a bad red bone, I took that girl home, I asked her what she want to watch, and she said, surely not the throne. So he's literally acknowledged this album in freestyles 10 years ago, and at this point in time in 2025, he has no memory of this album ever being released. He didn't know that Jay-Z and Kanye West did a collab album together. He acts confused when Lil Twist plays him the Otis song, asking if he's ever freestyled over it. On a side note, that beat would have gone crazy on the original version of Sorry for the Wait. But hey, at least he remembered No Church in the Wild and, People in Paris. But the out of touchness is almost a little bit concerning when he's made so many acknowledgments to this project in the past. And the interviewer continues, Wayne's obliviousness pops up again when it comes to rapper Sexy Red, who features on Sticky with him, Glorilla, and Tyler the Creator. Wayne says, Tyler was like, I know you don't know who that is. Wayne said, I damn sure don't. Red who? Sexy what? He jokes. Tyler had to remind him that they were at a Balenciaga show together, again with the Balenciaga, but Sexy Red imprinted herself in his memory with her bold verse on Sticky. Wayne was like, oh crap, this is dope. Then they go on to, the incredible feature run that Wayne has had for over 20 years at this point. And I find this part cool. They say Wayne's been known as a feature killer who's collaborated with anybody. He professes that there's never been a paying artist that he's turned down, even if he didn't like the song. Wayne said, I look at it like a challenge. You're going to have to be the reason why you like it. I'll kill it and be like, that stuff wasn't whack at all. I killed that. Don't play his verse, just play mine. And as quickly as I thrust into Wayne's world, I find myself on the outside looking in. After our studio conversation, I still have questions to ask. I think our next interview is going to be the next day in Atlanta, but Wayne flies back to LA. We schedule a Zoom follow-up for a late January Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. That evening, he pushes it back to the next night at the same time. And on Saturday, after waiting on Zoom for more than 6 hours until 3:30 a.m., I realize he's never coming on. We schedule another Zoom for the following Tuesday, but it gets canceled an hour beforehand, and one of his publicists apologetically citing new personal developments that may cause delays. After 3 cross-country trips, fleeing a wildfire, and numerous enervating waits, I feel the biggest story of my career slipping through my grasp for some reasons I can't discern. Wayne's Rolling Stone cover had a set date for months, but without a second interview, the magazine keeps postponing it. Maybe I should thank Lorne Michaels for reconnecting us. In February, Wayne is in New York to perform at the SNL 50 special. That night, before the show, I head to Penthouse Recording Studios at 2 a.m. for another late-night interview to be held after Wayne finishes an SNL rehearsal. Finally, at 6:45 a.m., 2.5 hours after the interview scheduled, Wayne's manager informs me Wayne is ready to talk. I head up to his suite and find Wayne in the kitchen area, kneeling against the kitchen island, rolling a blunt. On the island, I notice another tray containing about 20 tubes of blunts, a box of just water, and 3 lime green bags of fruity candy. He had the same batch of party favors in all 3 of his studio sessions I've been to. Martians must be a creature of habit. The conversation, during the entirety of which Wayne remains standing, starts with him talking from the other side of the suite. In the 6 hours I spend with Wayne, I don't see him sit down once. As we build a rapport, he walks closer to me and his manager, who's sitting right by my side. By the end of our conversation, he's walking right up to me while demonstratively talking with his hands. Wayne says that he didn't watch Kendrick's Super Bowl performance. Him and Lil Twist played pool during the set, then went outside to smoke. Wayne says, every time I looked, it was nothing that made me want to go inside and see what was going on. And that's crazy, right? Like, this is someone who professes himself as the best rapper alive. You're about to witness the first rapper in Super Bowl history perform a complete rap set with basically no hits, right? Straight rapping, no backtrack. Like, maybe at the very least you could take a couple notes from this performance, right? But no, Wayne says that every time he looked, there was nothing from the performance that made him want to go inside and actually watch it. Basically just, again, hating on the idea that Kendrick was the one chosen to be that Super Bowl halftime performer. Or, to give Wayne some credit, maybe this is, just the essence of his greatness, right? That he doesn't pay attention to the outside world. He doesn't listen to other rappers. He literally is so ingrained in his own psyche, in his own brain, in his own music, in his own creativity, that to break out of that, to pay attention to someone else, would only distract him from his main mission of, consistently being that best rapper alive. But as far as the best rapper alive touching the Super Bowl in the future, Wayne now says that he vows he'll no longer consider doing the performance ever in his life. He says, they stole that feeling. I don't want to do it. It was perfect. Then they go on to talk about Wayne's link up with Trump way back in October of 2020, which, for you guys who don't know, Wayne was actually facing around a 10-year prison sentence for a firearm that was found on his private jet. And President Trump at the time actually pardoned Wayne, allowing him to walk away from those charges a free man. So the interviewer continues, in October 2020, Wayne says the picture of him and Trump was taken spur of the moment during a meeting purposely about criminal justice reform and other initiatives for the black community. Wayne jokes that Trump is an a-hole of a wisecracker who had him laughing the whole day. Wayne says he ain't take nothing serious, literally in there saying stuff like, what do we have to do again? Crap, I forgot. As Wayne tells it, former Trump advisor and Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, greeted Wayne before the meeting and told him that Trump wanted to pardon him on federal firearm charges he'd soon face after a 2019 search of his jet uncovered a loaded gold-plated .45 caliber handgun. Wayne didn't know who Kushner was before the meeting, but soon learned that he was a fan who spearheaded the summit and pushed for the pardon. Wayne's like, he's naming the exams that he crammed to while listening to my music, that I helped him. He was like, I'm not about to watch my hero go to jail for this. Wayne would end up getting charged the next month and faced up to 10 years in prison. But when Trump pardoned him in January 2021, it wiped away the charge. So basically it was because Trump's son-in-law was a massive Wayne fan and told Trump to essentially pardon him. Wayne recalls Trump's powwowing with the rapper's lawyer, Bradford Cohen, a former contestant on The Apprentice. Wayne does his best obnoxious white guy voice as he mimics Trump and Cohen telling each other, F you, and Trump joking to him, you got this mother effer representing you, you're going down. Wayne says there were some people in there like, y'all should take a picture. Trump didn't even ask for a picture. Trump has these 2 nice little things with him, Wayne recalls, seemingly meaning 2 women, and Trump says, these mother effers asking me for effing pictures all effing day, man. Can we please? I said, it's the president. Okay. Trump was like, thank you. People be bothering me all day. There was widespread criticism of the photo across social media. Did Wayne care? Wayne said, F no. I don't care about no backlash for nothing I do. You know me, man, he says in a low croak. My mama would have been mad if I ain't smile. That might have been the only backlash I would have been worried about. When I asked if he would have joined his rap peer Nelly in performing at the inauguration, Wayne says, I was asked, but we had something to do. Trump got endorsements from several rappers last election cycle, but Wayne says he probably would have passed had he been asked. I would have told him, you probably don't want that, because I don't know what's going on, he admits, shrugging. At least he's honest. Wayne continues saying, I can tell you who won the last game, but I can't really, you know what I mean? When the interviewer asks how Wayne feels about the post-photo perception that he's a Trump supporter, Wayne notes, I don't feel anything about it. I don't give a F about that type of stuff. Tell him my genitals big, though. In 2006, Wayne released the protest anthem, Georgia Bush, where he slammed then-President George Bush's paltry post Katrina response with fiery, system-appraising verses. His empathy is palpable in lines like, I know people that died in schools, now what is the survivor to do? But he's also said that his anger stemmed from a specific affront to his hometown. It didn't radicalize him. At the end of a 2016 controversial ABC interview where he said he didn't feel connected to the Black Lives Matter movement, Wayne scoffed, I ain't no politician. Wayne is similarly curt when I ask him about a recent Business Insider report that detailed how Wayne spent funds he received from the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, which aided struggling venues, artists, and performing art businesses that lost revenue due to COVID quarantines. According to the report, Wayne spent this stimulus money on private planes, luxury clothing, and hotel trips for various women. Wayne looks genuinely perplexed when I bring it up. I don't know what that means, he says. His manager quickly interjects, saying he ain't got nothing to do with none of that stuff. He don't know nothing about that. It's not the way his money comes and goes or none of that stuff. But everything's been clean and audited. It's done and over. It's just people fishing. If you're not famous, they're not talking about you. Catherine Long, one of the reporters behind the story, shared a screenshot showing that when she texted Wayne asking if he saw her email, he replied saying, did you see my genitals? I'm sure it's much longer and better than the email. You like 'em long, right, Mrs. Long? He doesn't deny sending the text. In fact, he doubles down on it, saying, any female that texts me is going to probably receive a sexual comment. My phone is a personal phone, so if you got my number, that means you went out of your way and doing too much. So if you texted me and I send something you don't like, then suck my D. He says with an icy stare, just make sure you suck it right. For better or worse, Wayne is adroit at dropping barbs that leave me speechless. As I'm preparing to leave, he gives me a firm handshake and apologizes for the delay. I'm not sure whether he's talking about tonight or the entire months-long interview process, but I appreciate it. Wayne can be hilarious, personable, and insightful when he wants to be. He can jump on the mic and hang with any rapper in the world when he wants, but he can also be coarsely crude when he wants. Wayne's former manager, Cortez Bryant, once acknowledged that after Wayne was out from Birdman's wing, he felt he didn't have to answer to anyone. And aside from his brief jail stint and his legal wrangling over the Carter 5, his entire world has been more or less up to his volition since then, with minimal consequences. Few of us would turn down that kind of freedom, but it's worth wondering how many missteps we'd make with it. As we exited the studio, Wayne said, we goody, I dapped him up, and he told his publicist and me good night. It was 8 a.m., broad daylight. Who knows what time Wayne thought it was, but regardless of the numbers on the clock, it was time for Wayne to get back to work. And I don't know about you guys, I thought this was a very interesting interview. I mean, as a Wayne fan, it's great to see that he's still, sharper than ever in the studio, more passionate than ever about his bars, more confident than ever that he still is the greatest rapper alive. But with his recent output, with his recent comments, and with the fact that he seems completely detached from hip-hop history and what's going on today, it makes you wonder, at the very least, is living in this fantasy land that Wayne concocted the reason for his greatness or the catalyst to his downfall? We'll have to wait and find out on June 6th for the Carter 6. But until then, let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you in the next one.